How have you been affected by the water shortages?
The bottom line at the moment, basically, we're an irrigator, we're a rice grower. We haven't grown rice now for 2 years, unfortunately. We're feeding our sheep because we haven't got any pastures to feed them on, so we're actually grain feeding them, which we're buying grain to do. And we've got sheep away on adjustment. We're fortunate to actually get sheep away. And we're just in survival mode until such time as the seasons turn and we get rain events or we get some irrigation water. So we're in survival mode.
How has this affected your town and region?
The region is basically decimating the region. The communities, it's just shrinking. And people are looking to invest elsewhere. They are, and actively people are leaving the district or buying another piece of land in a whole different climate, just to try and stay in survival mode.
What do you think are the major contributing factors to water shortages?
Well, the major one is the fact we've got a drought, and we understand it's a drought, and being a low security water holder, we're the last ones to get allocated water, and that's fair enough. The high security water's got to be allocated first. The allocation system used to work beautifully, and has done, even through the millennium drought. It worked an absolute treat. We didn't have any water then, but towns had water, high security water users had water, and the rivers still had water. We've now overlaid it with a basin plan, and the basin plan with the old rules just isn't working.
Would you support a plan to bring water from northern Australia to these areas at an easily affordable cost?
I think anyone with some vision, and even this whole area here was created on a vision back in the 30s and the 40s when the channel system, the snowy hydro system was built. It was a vision. We don't have vision anymore. You know, we just don't seem to have it. We're just trying to take one resource only and divide it down into little bit and little bit and little bit, and there's not enough to go around. So we need to do something else.
What do you think will be the benefits of easier, cheaper, accessible water?
Cheaper and more accessible water. It's the flow-on effect, the jobs we create, the industries we create, the food we produce, the clean and green Australian food image, the exports we do. Here we are now, we're importing rice into Australia simply to put in supermarkets, for instance. So,
If the problem's not fixed, what do you think the outcome will be in 5 years' time?
Essentially, I believe this country will go back to what it was before irrigation. It'll return to its native dry land, and basically you'll be running one sheep to 5 to 7 acres like it was in the 30s and 40s. The imports will come up, and basically farms will just get bigger, and you'll end up with possibly one person will get up to 10, 20,000 acres, and that'll be it.
Are you aware of any other solutions to fix the problem in this area?
I'm actually not aware of anything else. There doesn't seem to be anyone with any vision to think of any ideas or concepts about what we can do in the future.
If we implemented a large-scale infrastructure program like the Snowy River scheme that brought water in to generate its own power, what do you think the benefits would be for the region and the town?
Well, it's not just for the region and the town. It's our flow-on effect that when we create something, I believe the figure's 7 jobs created after 1 job here for every bit we create. So it's that flow-on effect, and it's not just the regions, the local ones. It's actually when you get to the cities too, because everything ends up going through the cities, whether it's going through the ports or it's in manufacturing in the city. It's just that whole flow-on effect. So it's jobs across the board.
The Glens bought Edward Park in 1983, and we bought the additional block in 2004 with the view to being irrigators, but it affects our income. We certainly not as financially viable as we were when we were irrigators, but we also don't see the growth in the community shrinking, and the engaging employment for the district, and encouraging families into the district, because there's no opportunity for farm labour anymore. So when we first came, we've always had 100% of water, and now in the last 15 or so years we'd be having down to 50% of water. This is one of the main channels that supplies, it's our own channel, it supplies the whole farm, so it would not, this time of the year it would be normally running pretty full, and in creating that we've got yabbies and birds and fish and frogs and all that sort of little critters that you get in a wet environment, and as you can see we've got nothing, and if you listen really carefully there's no frogs.